may find the following disturbing. Discretion is advised.
The Bears.
Because of the way they play the nickel corner here, and the nickel corner plays 88-85% of the snaps. He's got to be like part linebacker.
The Bears.
When you're in a scouting room, there's going to be differences of opinion.
The Bears.
Once coaches get involved, of course, they've got their own opinions about what fits best for what they want to do, and that could be drastically different than what the scouts say.
Well, you're looking at traits, and number one, he tested very, very well.
The Bears.
One thing good about Kevin, he's been with 2 other organizations, as well as being the commissioner of the Big Ten. He's been around.
The Bears.
With Greg Olson, Jerry didn't want to get rid of him. I didn't want to get rid of him. Nobody wanted to get rid of him. One guy wanted to get rid of him, Mike Martz, because Mike Martz didn't know what the hell to do with him. We tried to talk Lovey out of hiring Mike Martz for a month and a half. He's playing zone, but number one, he doesn't get enough depth with the drop. But who the hell's good? How many times does a 305, 310-pound defensive tackle drop into coverage, especially in a key situation?
The Bears.
Greg, why are teams wrong on quarterback evaluation so often?
Number one, it's a hard position to evaluate. There's probably not as many real good quarterback evaluators as there needs to be.
The Bears. The Bears. The Bears.
Welcome, everyone, to a fresh edition of GTF, Gabriel Talks Football. My name is Aldo Gandia, and just to let you know, we got new programming every day this week. Most of it dedicated to Chicago Bears. And after this show, the next time we'll be live is tomorrow night, Buffon 55. Make sure you watch it and share it with others like you should do with this show. Best way to stay on top of stuff is to subscribe to the YouTube channel, Barroom Network, and you will get alerts on all your devices every time we are live. Speaking of live, there he is, live and in color, Greg Gabriel.
I am alive. I'm not dead yet.
These games, though, could put our health in risk, I'm telling you.
Did you see my one post yesterday near the end? They said the cardiac Bears.
I love that. It reminds me of the Cleveland Browns.
I thought it might pick up, but, you know. And I did it twice, but not enough people picked up on it. We'll see. We'll just keep using it.
They soon will once we start
I
getting
got to tell you, though, did it to my poor dog again yesterday.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah. You get in those final couple minutes, and then, you know, I try to stay calm, try to stay quiet, and then all of a sudden I go, you know, oh, or yes. And he, like, jumps up and gets all startled, like, what did I do wrong?
Oh, that's hilarious. That is hilarious. Well, there was, definitely a lot of jumping up and down regarding this latest Bears come from behind win. Is it sustainable, Greg, or are you anxious for this team to get out to a lead, hold the lead, expand the lead through all 4 quarters?
Well, they did that in the Dallas game. They haven't done it since.
That's right.
So, they start off fast.
Right.
You know, if they don't score the first drive, they score the second drive, which was the case yesterday, I think. And it's just them between their own mistakes or the offense not playing or the defense not playing as good. Things get going a little bit crazy. New York was up for that game, but just like the last few games, I never thought the Bears were going to be out of this. I mean, it's 20-10. There's 4 minutes left in the game. Most people probably turned off the TV. I said, no. One score on this drive, and they're going to win this game. And it's because of the way they've been playing. And when Russell Wilson was in there, Dart gets hurt, and Russell Wilson goes in. I know they were dead man walking.
Yeah, same here. I had that same feeling, Greg. And what do you say about Brian Daboll and the way he is using and putting Jackson Dart at risk, having him run so often?
I think that's Jackson Dart doing that.
Okay.
I saw a thing this morning. I guess he was on Gruden's show.
Okay.
And Gruden going like, "What the hell are you doing?" And it's just kind of instinctive with him. And Caleb did the same thing on the touchdown run, and then the run on the previous drive.
Right.
He wasn't going to get stopped.
Yeah, but
the one run where he got stopped on the 1 yard line or 2 yard line, and then he gets the touchdown on the next one, and he was like, "No, I got to get in." So you didn't see him try to, do the slide.
By the way, Eric is saying that your buddy Kyle Brandt called out a few Bears Twitter accounts this morning for prematurely posting about the Bears losing. I got to find that. Because I felt the same way. It is getting so tiring to listen to the negativity. It's like people think you play a half and that's the end of the game. Come on, people.
Yeah, I've mentioned it before. I'm on this group chat, DM group chat. And I rarely post during a game because these guys go crazy. And so at the end of the game, I go, "You guys got to learn how to calm down during the game. It ain't over till it's over."
Yeah, exactly. Got to play all 60 minutes. As Stephen Nagishi says something that I think everyone in New York is saying, Brian Daboll is done. You can't have Dart suffer 4 concussions he's had this year. And so those designed runs with Dart are just going to.
If he's had 4 concussions, he would have missed a lot of games.
Well, apparently, because I saw this, I saw the same report, Stephen, that he's had 4 concussions. So I think
maybe 4 concussions since he's, going back to his Ole Miss days.
Maybe
for the year, because it's difficult in the league unless it's a really minor concussion to play the week.
Yeah, I hear you on that, but I did see that. So
most of the protocol has you sitting out the next game.
Mm-hmm. Yep. We got, we got some excellent comments, and one of there was Olin Kreutz was on the Score Sports Radio. I want to play for you what he said, and I get your reaction on the other end. It's 40 seconds long. Here it comes.
We can give you all the stats of how bad the defenses were that they played, how bad the records are of the teams that they played, and those stuff is all true, and they know it to be true, and they tell us all the time, right? What's the number one thing we hear coming out of that building? We're all truth tellers. Well, here we are telling you the truth. The teams you beat have not been very good. None of the teams you played in the last 8 weeks have a winning record right now. None of the defense were ranked over 22. You played the number 32 and number 31 ranked rushing defenses. This Minnesota defense at home will be the toughest defense I've seen in a while. And by the way, your defense hasn't stopped anybody in a while either.
Now, before you comment, Greg, because I don't want Olin coming after me, he did speak highly about the Bears and their winning, but he brought that up during the course of the conversation to just challenge these Bears for this upcoming game against the Vikings. But he makes this really great point, is that
he made a very good point, and it's a valid point. And it's the same point that the coaching staff is telling the players too. But the fact is, regardless of what stats say that some teams 32 or 31 or whatever, they are still finding a way to overcome their mistakes and win the game in the end.
Yes. And that's huge. I mean, you're talking about building your DNA as a team that, you can't count them out. It doesn't matter. You're playing an NFL team. And so when you're building that DNA, once you play the Eagles, once you play the 49ers and go into that fourth quarter, they now have the experience of beating teams in the fourth quarter. Now they have to be a little bit better teams, but they've had that experience, and that's a huge leap forward for this franchise.
If you listen to what Ben said, and the players say the same thing, we haven't played a complete game yet.
Yep.
And it's going to come. This is still a process. It's learning a new offense, learning a new defense. We're just past the halfway point. There's been a ton of injuries on the defensive side of the ball.
Yes.
So it's it's not quite there.
Right.
It'll be interesting to see Asante Samuel's coming in tomorrow.
Right.
He's made, if you include the Bears tomorrow, probably 4 or 5 trips.
Mm-hmm.
Different thing. Now, you notice he hasn't signed with anybody yet. The one thing, and I've posted this several times last week so people understand, is that he was, quote, cleared to play by his doctors.
Mm-hmm.
That does not mean he's cleared to play by the Bears doctors, the Carolina doctors. Each one of them, now he's probably bringing the results of the MRIs with him because he had back surgery. So he doesn't have to have 4 or 5 different MRIs. That'd be crazy. Wouldn't be good for him.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, they got to do the examination and they make their own determination. In my experience, especially at all the combines I've been to and having to work closely with the medical staffs, is that there's a huge difference between team to team. It's almost like scouting reports.
Mm-hmm.
One scout says this, another scout says that. It's the same way with doctors. They look at a certain injury, how it's healed, but they also look at history and their history with those types of injuries. And that determines whether they're going to go thumbs up or thumbs down with the thing. But still, the other point is, even though he's been cleared to play, is he ready to play?
Right.
And how far away is he from playing? One guy said last week, and I agree with this, the best thing to do with him is sign him to the practice squad. Give him a regular salary, but sign him to the practice squad.
Mm-hmm.
And let him get a few weeks of practice, and you can bring him up whenever the hell you want.
Yeah, that's a great point. And one of the things that I posted yesterday on X, because I saw all this criticism leveled at the Bears defense. And yes, they did not have a great day, but you got to take into account what you just said, Greg, the injuries on this team. We have guys starting for the Chicago Bears that on some teams, are not even second stringers. I mean, look at the snap count for these guys, and you will see that you got guys like Noah Sewell, 100% of the snaps on defense. He's not a starter for the Bears. He's in there because of TJ Edwards. Right. You look at Nashawn Wright, 99% of the snaps. This guy is at best a third cornerback, and yet he is getting starter reps. And you
third outside corner because you can't count him as a nickel.
Right, and he had what I term as, and he dropped an interception. I know it was batted out of his hands, but I thought he should have held on to that.
Yeah, he should have.
And he missed a big tackle in the game. Jonathan Ford, 22% of the snaps. Joe Tryon, they just picked him up on Tuesday, 22% of the snaps.
Well, let's be fair about that on the traded for him.
Okay.
This guy, throw out this year. He for whatever reason, he wasn't a fit in Cleveland.
Right.
But when he was with Tampa, the 3 previous years, he started like 80% of the games, and every year he was playing better than 51. His worst season was 51% of the snaps. His season was 75% of the snaps.
Excellent.
You can't count that out. The Cleveland thing, throw it out the window. He didn't fit for whatever reason.
Right. Yeah, and I'm not discounting him as a player, but what I'm saying is because of injuries, this team is having to field players who don't have a training camp with the Bears system, and et cetera, et cetera. And so what they give up, 20 points yesterday, that's a pretty good defensive effort against a Giants team that has offensive firepower. Now, I know Malik Neighbors is not playing. I know Darius Slayton got hurt in the game.
They scored 30-something points in Denver a few weeks ago.
Again, that maybe the best defense in the NFL, Denver has.
So, they can score points, and I'm always going to stick up for the Giants a little bit. I spent 17 years there. But at the same time, I want to beat them, and they did beat them. But the one thing I felt like, and it goes back to that Denver game, the way they lost that game in the fourth quarter, that's the main reason why I thought the Bears were never out of this.
Yeah, I'm with you. All right, I see in the chat, we're going to talk a lot about Caleb, but in the chat, the hot topic right now is the new defensive back that the Bears acquired 2 weeks ago. This kid is playing, I shouldn't call him a kid because he's been in the league quite a bit, but he is playing lights out, and that is, of course, CJ Gardner-Johnson. He had
got a game ball yesterday.
Got a game ball. He had 6 tackles and a sack in his debut, and he finished yesterday's game with a team high 9 tackles and 2 sacks, and forced a fumble on that Jackson Dart play. That was incredible. Those are his numbers for yesterday. He has been playing lights out. What do you make of this guy?
Well, first of all, he's throw out whatever character concerns he has, because I don't know what they are.
Mm-hmm.
He's always been a good player.
Yep.
He's been a real good player. He's played both the nickel and the safety spot. So he has, once we get the other guy back, he is going to give more depth at both positions, at the safety position, at the slot position. Hell, it might be hard. You might have to put Gordon outside and let him stay in the slot to strengthen the whole defense.
That's funny, because that's one of the questions I stored for you from the chat. So yeah, that's pretty cool.
That's a coaching decision. So
yeah.
Do they feel that he can do that?
Mm-hmm. Well, we will see. And by the way, Lutz, the reporter, again with a $5 donation, and he says, Ben Johnson playing possum strategy is brilliant. Let the opponent believe they're going to win, then blam! Ben's not fooling me. Hashtag humor on Monday. I appreciate that.
I'll tell you, and I'm sure you'll play it before the show's over, the locker room thing. Somebody had to tell him to calm down on the F words, because there was no bleep. There was no bleeps yesterday.
There were a couple, but you're right. A lot less than previous.
But and he was right. He goes, it's like a broken record. He said the same thing every week.
He's got to come up with a speech writer.
It's because they've won the same way.
Yes,
so
exactly.
It's like, so he doesn't have anything different to say because of that, because they're doing the exact same thing.
Mm-hmm. This is Ben Johnson talking about CJ Gardner-Johnson, and I got to keep
downfield pass. They got to open it up on these early downs.
Oh, baby, a blitzing CJ Gardner-Johnson making an instant impact.
I gave him one of the game balls, and he kind of alluded to it. You get football taken away from you, which he felt like last couple months, that's his story. And now he's here with a bunch of guys rooting for him, and he's grateful for the opportunity. And so it gives you just a greater sense of appreciation. And so he's always been a phenomenal football player. I think he's found a good home here in Chicago. Our guys are gravitating towards his swagger, his playmaking ability. I think he's quickly becoming one of us. So certainly not surprised by his performance. I've seen it for a long time now.
So I got to ask, Greg, should they go after Tano, who was with the Bears? They released him during cutbacks. He's now on some team's practice squad. Why not bring Tano? He's got that last name that I can't. The defensive end that played with Dennis Johnson. We had talked about him when that played with Dennis Allen.
Oh,
Tano's help me out, chat.
You're talking about
that's him. That's him.
Well, I mean, they just released him a week ago because they didn't have a spot for him.
Tano is available.
Bassignolo was on the team, if that's who you're talking about.
Yes.
He was just cut like what, a week, 10 days ago, because they were bringing up Booker and another, and so they didn't have a spot for him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Thank you, Stephen.
I mean, they could sign him to the practice squad.
Right.
He might not want to. He's a vested vet, and he might not want to go on the practice squad again.
But if he's on another team's practice squad, isn't the only way you can get him onto your team is if he's on the 53?
Yes.
Okay. So I
don't know if he's on another. I don't pay attention.
I'm pretty sure he is. So anyway, Stephen, thank you. He says, except the left tackle position, the entire next year's draft should be all defense. And you know what? I agree with you, Stephen. Go defensive line.
I disagree with him on the left tackle.
Oh, so you think who's going to play left tackle in 2026?
I still think Ozzy's in the picture, and so is Theo.
Yeah, but I would scratch my head. Well, I shouldn't say this, but if they went with a left tackle in the first round, I might. Don't forget,
you're not going to be picking in the top 10. Okay, already won too many games for that.
Yes, very
Okay,
true.
so it's and there's going to be some decent tackles there.
Mm-hmm.
Look at what the run game's done. You know they had one of the best defensive fronts, pass rushing fronts in the league. Do you see how many sacks they gave up? One cheap one.
Yeah. Exactly.
Now, yes, there was pressures,
Mm-hmm.
but Caleb has a way about him. His instincts, his feel for pass rushers,
Mm-hmm.
even from the backside, is rare. You don't see. I mean, he gets out of stuff that you very rarely see any quarterback get out.
I agree. Let's stay on the defense before we return to Caleb and the offense. I gotta shout out Anthony Billings because every time I focused on him, that big guy in the middle was taking on two blockers, disrupting the run game, hustling downfield. I mean, he's a big man, so for him to get going, running, it takes some effort.
He is a ultra competitor.
He really
and he
is.
has been. You know, this is the third year he's been here. Ever since he's been here,
Mm-hmm.
and you saw it happen. He got hurt last year, and the defense went down the toilet.
Yep.
He's a glue. He's a force within the middle of the front. He deserves to play a lot. He does play a lot. No, he's not going to give you a lot of pass rush, but he's going to try.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. He's gonna push those guards and centers into the quarterback's lap, and that really helps the pass rush.
I'll tell you, and we've talked about this before. There are very few people in the league that are stronger than this guy, if anybody.
Yeah, you went back and looked at his high school lifting results.
Not only was he the Texas State powerlifting champion in high school, he set records on everything. And those records were standing for a long. Now, they could have been broken in the last 2 years, but 2 years ago when I looked it up, he still held the record.
Absolutely awesome. The other guy I want to shout out is Montez Sweat. You know, as recently as last week, guys in the media like David Hall, who I respect, were taking shots at Montez Sweat. And I'm like, what are you talking about? This guy's had a sack in now four straight games.
David Hall has to gripe about something. They lost Bernstein.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, they lost the King Cynic when Bernstein left. So it's like David has taken over that role.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, why? You don't have to have one.
Yeah. Right. And one of the reasons I like Hall is because he comes from a newspaper background, and so a lot of his opinions are based on fact. But man, once in a while, he just takes a dig at people.
I don't know if I agree with the newspaper people base thing on fact, but that's for another argument.
I hear you. We have a donation here. Let me see if I can put it up on the screen. What's going on here? Let's see. Bear in the UK, my man, Greg and Aldo, great show as always, and thank you for the X chat on Sundays. My BP is back to normal. Awesome, Bear in the UK, you're the man.
Okay, what's your normal blood pressure that is back to normal?
Exactly.
You can type that in for us.
Yeah, and how does that work out? 9 pounds and 99 shillings in the UK? I don't know.
Actually, 999 pounds is actually more in U.S. money than pounds.
There it is. I learn something new every day. Thank you very much to you and everyone else making a donation. Truly appreciate it. All right, let me. They've got a new setup here, so that's why I'm hesitating. Okay.
Well, yeah. Who did that? Is that
who did what?
The way the questions are coming up on the lower.
Oh, well, the service that we use, StreamYard, as this new feature, I can change the size. I can,
I can read it when you get that real small.
So
I can't see 2 feet in front of me, and you put that small shit in front of me.
Yeah, I can do all sorts of cool. It's one of the new features.
Listeners from Vegas and Florida and stuff, so
yeah,
somewhere. I got some friends everywhere.
That helps, Greg. Tell me, I have no friends.
Nobody loves you, although I know your wife does.
Well, she tolerates me more than she loves me, I think. All right, so shout it out on defense, Montez and Anthony Billings. And who else should we shout out that you noticed yesterday, or maybe even in the past few games, is a defensive player? Because I want to give some love to the defense. I think they're being picked on way too much. Anyone else on
defense? The defense had to stop the Giants in the fourth quarter.
Thank you.
To win the freaking game.
Thank you. I don't care if it was Russell Wilson or whatever.
Yeah, and they started off great.
Mhm.
And really, I think around the end of the first quarter, I posted the defense is really playing awesome. And and then you get into the middle of the third quarter, and people go, "You don't know what the hell you're talking about." I ignore it. Or I just put those people on mute because it's like, hey, I said that in the first quarter. It's a different part of the game.
Yeah.
Shut the F up.
Yeah. Brisker's name is coming up as someone who played well. I think there were a couple of coverage mistakes by Brisker, but he made a huge play in saving that touchdown where he basically stripped the ball away from the tight end who caught the ball. So Brisker's been playing well, and everybody's asking the question, Greg, do you bring him back? If you can agree on a sum, or are you concerned about his concussion history and maybe a search for somebody else? Not a one.
Has he missed a snap?
Not a one.
I ain't worrying about it.
There you go. I like that. All right, let me check in. I have Aldo there it goes. Aldo, halfway into the season, what do you both think the main position priorities heading into offseason free agency in the first 3 rounds of the draft? All right, that one question.
Too early to say.
Yeah.
You still got a half a season to go. And part of it, too, is where are they going to be picking? Because now you got to look at, the strength of the draft. What's going to be gone? What are you going to be looking at then?
Exactly.
But and then free agency, it's money. And right now, on the projections, based on the current roster, they're over. Not by much, but they're over. So
they might have to extend some contracts, and that would help them create cap space. Here. David Hardy played at Allstate. J2K, I got your question. He's asking if we noticed that the defensive tackle Chris Williams was playing at defensive end, and might I say, not very well. What I noticed, I don't know.
They're probably putting him over there because, the new guy, I can't even say his name.
Joe Tryon is.
Tryon, whatever. Yeah. Shawinka. He only had like 3 days of practice. And so, and you got to give the other guys some breaks.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And while you look that up, Tony Moy is saying that Darnell Wright had a pancake against Brian Burns. That was so funny. Yes, one arm pancake is what he did. Darnell Wright is playing at not a Pro Bowl level, an all-pro level. He might be playing better than Penny Sewell. So, I can't say that for sure because I haven't seen Penny play this season.
Yeah, but Penny Sewell's got a name, and Darnell Wright doesn't have a name yet.
Not yet.
And Pro Bowl is as we all know, a lot of it's a popularity test. And it must have been some of the restructures they did. Right now, as it stands, the projected 26 cap is the Bears got $2.8 million.
Yeah, so they got to create some space. It's unbelievable how quickly that happens. Do you have confidence in the Ryan Poles administration that they can work the cap as well as the guy they released who was a buddy of yours?
Oh yeah, I mean, it's not that hard to do, and there's going to be guys on the books now that aren't going to be on. Well, they come off because their contracts are out anyway. So that's just that figure there is just looking at people under contract for next year. Because you're going to have like Braxton isn't. You can figure out right now he's not going to be here next year. He's out of contract. He's going to be a free agent. They aren't going to give him a new one. And so he's going to be going somewhere else.
Yeah. By the way, I thank you again, chat. They're pointing out that Austin Booker had a good game yesterday. I thought he had a very good game. He is a godsend. It was his hit that knocked Jackson Dart out of the game. It was Gardner-Johnson who hit the ball out, forced the fumble, but it was Booker hustling over and knocking him to the turf where he unfortunately.
Yeah, but his best play, and actually it was it just was happenstance.
Mm-hmm.
He was doing a loop stunt to the inside. Probably they were thinking pass, and he just walks right into the ball carrier and knocked the living shit out of him.
He sure did. Yeah, I'm so happy he is back. He is proving his value very, very quickly.
He doesn't look big, but he is pretty darn strong. Yes. And you saw the play where his strength and his power. People say, well, Orlando Brown was playing tall. I don't care. He's 100 pounds more than Booker is.
Exactly.
And he pushed him back with a left hand.
Mm-hmm. Flex Dig says Dart is better than I thought. Yeah, I got to give the kid credit. He's got some moxie. Reminds me a little of kind of a Jim McMahon type. McMahon wasn't as fast as Dart, but he's got that bravado.
The guy who was number one, Lane Kiffin is a darn good coach
and
a real good quarterback coach. But the guy who was on him analyst-wise before anybody last year, because we were talking about it on the phone back probably in October, so earlier than now last year, is Kuiper.
Mel.
And he's like, I got him as number 3. What do you think? And I said, I haven't studied him. He goes, well, take a look and tell me what you think. And he stayed with it all year, and he was right.
Yeah, he was right. He was. Mel generally does a good job at evaluating quarterbacks, which we've talked about as a very difficult position to evaluate.
I'll tell you the guy he was right on right from the start, and I don't know where he got some of his information. It was Josh Allen. A lot of people thought Josh Allen, the Bills taking him that high because he had the accuracy issues at Wyoming, some interception issues and stuff. But what Mel knew about Josh Allen was the football character, and how he got it, I don't know. I never really asked him. But Josh Allen became as good as he is because he refused to be any less than that. He just kept working and working and working. Hey, you can say what you want about Brian Daboll as a head coach. The guy can develop quarterbacks. Look at the job he's done with Dart and what he did with Josh Allen. If he gets fired, he's going to have a new job within a week as on probably one of these new staffs or current staff. The guy can coach.
Yeah. He can. There's no doubt about it. There's something about Daboll that rubs me wrong. I think it's because Jordan used to like him.
It's because he's from Buffalo and you just don't like Buffalo guys.
I love Buffalo. I spent a day in Buffalo. I was on a job and I said, hey, this is a pretty cool town, but I don't want to be here in November, December. That's for sure.
Well, we got more snow right now than they got.
Wow. Amazing. That's not going to last long, I bet, by the middle of 2026. All right, by the way, lots of great questions. I have stuff from J2K, Best Meat Marinades, Steven, Vizzo, Laz, True Pilgrim. I'm going to share those with Greg in a minute, but let's wrap up our talk about the defense with a couple of questions from the chat, but also Ben Johnson talking about how can the defense improve. He was battered with questions yesterday about the defense. This was his response.
Every week changes. I do think, CJ's presence, he's going to continue to get better within this scheme. Hopefully we'll get TJ back at some point up front. I think I got to take a look at how Book did today. But like I said, Sweat's really been coming on since the bye week. I can feel his presence out there. And then maybe we'll get some reinforcements in the back end at some point as well. So I think we're going to be just fine. Each week's its own story. I keep saying that. So just because we play well one week doesn't mean it carries over. Just because we play poorly one week doesn't mean that carries over either. So end of the day, we just need to continue to find ways to win.
I think basically what he was telling that reporter is STFU. Shut the F up and let the guys play.
I say it every week, and I'm like the broken record. First of all, he gives the most honest, sincere answers from a head coach anywhere in the league.
Yeah, I agree.
And a lot better answers than we've had around here in God knows how long. It was mostly coach speak. he gives you sincere answers. He gets into the details. If a guy screws up, he's not afraid to throw him under the bus now. He'll throw him. Mm-hmm. And I think the players recognize that and don't have a bad feeling or an ill feeling because they got thrown out of the bus, because they know they got thrown under the bus for a damn good reason.
Exactly. Yes. That's a very authentic way to lead, and it works. And I got to give, actually, Dan Campbell doesn't get a lot of accolades from me because he's a Detroit Lion. But yesterday, the way he handled questions about taking over the play calling duties from Ben Johnson's successor, Morton, I thought he was really, really kind. He said, the guy is clearly upset about it, but we had a good talk. And Morton wants this team to win first and foremost. So he understood why I made the call. And so he was just really, really cool about it. I appreciate Dan Campbell for that. And reluctantly, I'll say I have to give him his coaching chops. That guy can coach. He's a good coach.
Well, he is a good coach. Mm-hmm. It's not the first time he's called plays.
Uh-huh.
He had, and I can't think of his original offensive coordinator. He used to be
last of the season,
and he fires him. He takes over the play calling, and then elevates Ben to the OC job that next off season. Mm-hmm. So he's done it before. I'm sure he's been involved. He's an offensive player himself. He's a tight end. Sure, he's been involved in the offensive planning every week. It's not like he doesn't know what the hell's going on.
Yeah, right.
And I think, and with this conversation with Morton, if there was a pushback, Morton wouldn't be there.
Mm-hmm.
He would have let him go because he knew it wouldn't have worked.
Exactly. Totally agree with that. Totally agree. All right. Let's see. Let us go to Stephen is asking here about Noah Sewell. He was bad yesterday. I don't think he had a good game. I agree with you, Stephen. And he says that linebacker is quietly a massive need this offseason. Stephen's already focused on the offseason, man.
I don't agree with that. Sewell played a bunch of games earlier, and then he got hurt.
Right.
And he was playing a bunch of games for TJ, and he played darn good football.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so, but yesterday he'd been out 3 games or something like that. He had missed time, and now was the first time back in. He made some mistakes.
Sure did.
But overall, you got to look at it, because I know Ryan Poles has gone out of his way to praise him a couple times, and a little bit that Ryan talks. A lot of times GMs don't talk during the year. And speaking of GM, I got to give my man Ballard a slap on the back.
Absolutely. Great job.
He's the only guy that would take a chance on Brown.
Mm-hmm.
Brown's going to end up getting a lot of money out of this. Probably saved his job.
Mm-hmm.
And the truth be told is, I don't know if he was involved 100% on some decisions, because the owner Jimmy Irsay was heavily involved with some stuff.
Sure.
But, he's got a really good relationship with the daughter, who is now the decision-making owner of the 3 Irsay girls. And, Chris is going to get himself an extension out of this. They might have the best team in the AFC right now. They're 8-2. They got a 2-game lead in their division. They're going to be in the playoffs. And Brown's going to win comeback player of the year unless he just totally flops the rest of the season. I don't see that happening.
Yeah. I got to hand it to Chris Ballard, because, being a leader in an organization, being a general manager, it takes a lot of different skills. And one of them is getting along with management and working with management in a way where you're not compromising yourself and your decisions, but, working with them to try to understand why they want something done, and then coming back with good information to stop them from forcing you to do something you don't want. And it seems to me like Chris is really good at that, because he's lasted there a while.
And I don't know if I'm over speaking here, but how many people in Indianapolis are going to know what the hell we're talking about here? I said Brown is Jones. You're right. Hey,
they're listening. Thanks, Fizzo.
Mr. Irsay, Jimmy Irsay, goes to Ballard. I bet you this was 4 years ago. And he said, you teach her everything. She's going to take over for me when I'm not here. And he had to spend a lot of time with her. And he said to me, he goes, I didn't really want to do that. But he's glad that he did.
Yeah. Because
after Jimmy died, first thing I said to him, because I'm thinking, is he going to be, being when it happened and they had the last season was a disaster, and who was going to know what the quarterback was going to do this year? He could be on the outside looking in too. And he said, no, I got a great relationship with her. And that's why he told me. And he goes, we talk a lot, and we've been talking a lot for the last 4 years. So in essence, that's really what helped him moving forward this year. And I think he doesn't have any, like they made the trade last week for the corner, and it's stuff like that. I think, maybe he couldn't have done that with Jimmy, but he's got the daughter's, backing to do what he needs to do.
Breaking news. And thank you, chat. Adam Schefter is reporting that Brian Daboll has been fired by the New York Giants. Wow. The Bears do it again. You lose against the Bears, you're going to get fired, man.
Well, I think that's 3 games they lost in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
And 2 with yesterday was a supposedly secure lead. But hey, the same thing. You go back to Cincinnati last week. The Bears had a secure lead. They had a 2-touchdown lead. And Cincinnati comes back and with 45 seconds left and takes the lead. And then the Bears have another miracle finish.
Yeah. Greg, I got to go back to what I said earlier. I do think the way he has handled Dart and putting him in danger with so many of these running plays, whereas you see other coaches, like even the Bears, they want Caleb to use his legs more, but they are telling him, slide, baby, slide. And Dart is not sliding. He's too taking too many risks for a young player, and maybe that is one of the reasons why Daboll is out in New York. We'll report.
I just got a text from our friend Eric Durrecker. He said Daboll's out, so I'm just going to answer him.
Yeah, tell him watch the show.
He's out at sea.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, I know where he is, but you're not allowed to say, So, because when you're in the service, if you're someone, they don't want anybody to know.
Especially nowadays.
He's somewhere on the water.
Yeah. Tony is saying, is Nagy going to get the Giants job? That would be wild. Stephen Nagishi is reporting that Kafka is probably the interim head coach the rest of the season. They should fire Shane Bowen, the defensive coordinator.
He's terrible. I don't know much about him, but he's terrible. They lost Wink Martindale. And Wink Martindale, for whatever reason, did not have a good relationship with Daboll. So Wink actually quit.
Oh,
now he's the defensive coordinator at the University of Michigan. But he was a very, he had come from the Ravens, is very good at the Ravens for a number of years under Harbaugh. That relationship sour. And Martindale's probably not the easiest guy to get along with if you see him, see his actions and antics on the sideline. But he's a hell of a coach.
Yes, indeed. He is.
And, this is probably, Daboll might have one more year left on his contract. But he's going to be an OC next year. You can guarantee it. And he's going to be a good one.
Yeah. Steven says that Martindale is doing fine right now over at Michigan. And we've got another person saying, do you think Bill Belichick would be interested in the New York Giants job? He's from there.
Well, he grew up there. He was on Parcells' staff. That's where I know Bill from.
Right.
And we worked 7 years together. He left we beat Buffalo in Super Bowl 25 in January 1991, and he left like a couple days later to take the Cleveland job.
Well, we got to keep an eye on that. That is a major, major move. Brian Daboll fired by the New York Giants.
Bill's 73 years old. Why? To me, that's like hiring me to be a GM. I didn't agree with the Raiders hire. He's 74. And it's like, yeah, it might be good, but for how long?
Yeah.
You might be talking 2 years, especially with the way health situations can be with us older senior citizens.
Yeah, but here's the thing, though, Greg. You and Pete Carroll don't have 23-year-old girlfriends, unless there's something I don't know. J2K says, Aldo and Greg, not to be a downer, but I thought this was one of Ben's worst called games. He came out pass heavy versus the 29th worst run defense.
Because they were stacking the box.
Exactly. The defense was designed to stop the run. Yeah, I get you.
Like, hey, you only can do what you can do. When they got a bunch of people playing in the box, you can't block them all.
Yeah. And the thing is, a lot
That's
of those.
why I got to finish this. And
Please.
I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No, sorry.
That's why sometimes you got to throw stats out the window. And every game is its own. I've said this several times. Every game is its own entity. You could beat a team by 30 points and then play a terrible team the next week and think you're going to have a good game and it's going to be a barn burner.
Yeah.
Week to week it changes. And what the other team does, you know that New York went into this game saying we got to stop the run, especially when you looked at what the weather forecast was. I mean, we said last week on the show that the weather at that time said rain and low 40s, and it got progressively worse. Now, it ended up being fairly dry, had some snow flurries, but at least it wasn't a slick field.
Yeah.
But the weather conditions weren't great. There was wind. And so they said, hey, no, we're going to stop the run.
Mm-hmm.
And then the receivers had dropitis.
Oh, my goodness. J2K responds by saying, yeah, but those were the scripted plays. And so they came in with a script.
You can change your script now. You can change your script.
But I do think that maybe they were scripted that way because they anticipated the Giants were going to guard against the run. So let's throw the ball. And frankly, I mean, they scored in the first possession, right? They scored a touchdown.
First or second. I think it was the second.
Okay. So nonetheless, I understand why J2K, because there were times during the game where I kind of questioned maybe he should have done this, but who am I to say? Gosh. Anyway, I want to talk about Caleb Williams. It is time to talk about the guy now. The national media is all of a sudden saying, I told you he was going to be one of the league's greats. Well, this is teammates of Caleb. Caleb himself talking about his performance and teammates and the head coach talking about Caleb. I put them all together in this 1-minute clip.
The calmness, demeanor of when I'm in the huddle, looking at those guys in the eyes and, the belief, the faith, like I said, living in the known in those moments, it provides a certain level of confidence for us to be able to go out there and deliver.
I think it's just his will to win, man. He'll do anything, to come back in the locker room and celebrate with his teammates, man. He's a great, leader for this, group organization. And, I got all the confidence in the world in him.
But never a doubt in, Caleb's mind, offensive mind, defensive mind. Like we got the whole quarter left to go make something happen, and went out there and did it. And shout out to everyone just for staying consistent and staying in it.
He looks like a Houdini back there in the backfield because, like I said, that's a really good pass rushing front that they've given a lot of teams fits. I think Burns is leading the NFL in sacks, and so there are times where he's trying to escape and making some things happen. He had a couple throws down the field, but like you said, over 50 yards again rushing for the second week in a row. And I thought in the fourth quarter there, we really needed that.
I think he got the green light to go ahead and use his legs more because teams are playing like the two-mans and quarters and man-to-man. So he can just be able to get out with his legs and be another weapon.
Greg, do me a favor and evaluate Caleb's performance from yesterday's game against the Giants.
I haven't watched the replay of the game yet. He had 6 drops, maybe 7. They were good passes, and those guys are pros. They should make those receptions. They still weren't perfect. They might have been off by 6-8 inches. And it was a cold, windy day, which can make it a little bit more difficult to be totally accurate. All told, he stays within the moment. He's got confidence in himself, and he thinks that he can make the big play. He's going to try to make the big play, and you want your quarterback to be that way. I said earlier, the instinctive feel he has for pass rushers is very rare. There's not too many guys in the league who can do what he did, and we saw it at least 3 times yesterday. And he does that reverse spin and gets himself in a position to throw the ball. So I think he gets where the stat numbers don't necessarily say he's getting better every week. The way he's seeing the field, the way he's checking out of original plays, the poise he's showing are all leaps and bounds over last year and even the first part of this year, and he's just scratching the surface. And part of the people listen to the announcers, even though sometimes the announcers don't know what the hell they're talking about. And the Bears have been stuck with a few of them this year. Yesterday, though, you had a good one. And as the way it turned out, he's an ex-Bear, so he was going to be good. Greg Olsen. And Greg did a really good job. But then later, I was listening to I don't know what they call that last segment on the Fox Sunday sports show after the games are over, and but they were all Strahan, Long, all those guys were really praising the way Caleb has been playing.
And he deserves that praise. There is no doubt about it. I got to tell you, well, first of all, somebody mentioned here, but Greg, those balls, there were 6 drops, and he was throwing the balls. Here it is. Usama said, Greg, the balls hit the wide receivers in their hands.
Oh, yeah. No, true. There was a drop is a drop. The saying is, if you can touch the ball, you should catch it. For a wide receiver, these guys are professionals. They're the best of the best.
Yes,
okay.
Indeed.
Zacchaeus, who normally catches everything, I think he had 3. I mean, and then the comments on my X feed, get that guy off my team.
Yeah.
And Ben came. He said, "Hey, it was an anomaly."
Yeah, and it was. That guy is usually very reliable. And people were asking me, well, why is he in there so many snaps over Luther? Shouldn't Luther? And I said, well, we don't know, because maybe during the week he had a better practice sessions than Luther.
And I go back to the same thing. People look at them, they want Luther because, he can run and he can make the big play. Luther, and I guarantee you this is the case, he doesn't play a lot. He's getting more stats because he doesn't know everything. And he makes mistakes when he's in there.
Yeah.
And he makes some of the wrong route adjustments or whatever. And that can lead to, an interception or broken play. So he's earning more time. He got, 3 catches yesterday, 4 targets, 5 targets.
Yeah.
And he's coming up with his big plays. I'll tell you, he's a hard guy to bring down. He's, he's 200 pounds. He gets yards after the catch, but he's strong.
He's strong and shifty. And it was, I remember seeing 3 targets and 3 catches for Luther. So he had an excellent game. And I forecast, and I think and no one will be surprised by that. By the end of the season, you'll see 7, 8, 9, 10 targets going his way. Ben Johnson keeps saying we're going to be playing our best football in December, and that just throws the heck out of me. We're going to get better? Is that really happening?
Isn't that Minnesota next week?
Yes, it is Minnesota next week. But let's talk a little bit more offense before we go on to talk about the Vikings. Let's see here. What did I have here that I wanted to share? These are Caleb's stats from yesterday. Let me get rid of the comments so we can see the graphic. 20 out of 36, a 55.5 completion rate, but it could have easily been close to 70. If
it could have been like 28 out of 36, or not 28. 24 out of 36,
yes,
25 out of 36.
Thank you.
And still had a couple drops, but hey, that's the way it was.
Yep. And he had an excellent day rushing the ball, 8 carries, 63 yards for 1 touchdown. It's the second straight week that he has had over 50 yards rushing the ball. Greg, I love the fact that he's using his legs. And in fact, in that game-winning touchdown, OZ was wide open. And I said to myself, he probably thought to himself, you know what? I'm going to run this in because I don't know about that guy's hands. But running the ball is a good thing for your young quarterback.
That was a design run.
Yeah, that was.
If you talk about it, it was a design run. And then the one DB did something that he knew that he wasn't sure he was going to get a touchdown, but he knew he was getting the long run.
Mm-hmm.
And then, he's pretty fast.
Yeah.
In fact, it was Howie Long that said it, or it might have been Strahan. And they both said, he's a lot faster than people think he is.
Yes. I forgot to load that play because I didn't want to show it to you because Brian Burns was faked out of his spikes on that play action. It was RPO and he faked it. And he followed the pulling guard, and he completely lost the edge to Caleb, and Caleb went around and scored that touchdown. It was
I don't know if you have the clip, but Wright put Burns on his ass twice in one play.
Don't have that. Yeah, and everybody's talking about that this morning. I should have pulled it. Yeah.
I mean, twice on the same play.
Oh my goodness. I gotta find that. I got to.
And the one was, he just punches him, and he goes over like he was shot.
Mm-hmm. Getting back to defense just momentarily, Berlissimo says the biggest issues are on defense, and the biggest issue on defense I see consistently is the D-line's apparent lack of ability to disengage from blocks. Block shedding needs to get more violent and sudden. Yeah, I agree with that. And the coaching staff has said that too when they talk about the defense. We just got to do a better job of winning our one-on-ones.
Yeah, well, when you're put in one-on-one situations, you got to win. And Ben has said that. You're not going to win 100%.
Right.
I remember my first year of college football, the coach said, really going into our first practice, he goes, I'm only asking you for one thing. Win 51% of the downs that you're in, each individual. If you win 51%, we win the game.
Yeah. Let's shift over to offensive line now.
A long time ago. I can't believe I remember it. It just popped into my head right now.
It's weird how our old minds work, right? I can remember stuff from 20 years ago, but I can't remember what I had for dinner last night.
Oh, that was over 50 years ago.
Oh, geez. The offensive line, it didn't have a terrible day pass blocking tomorrow, but it seemed like Caleb had to escape from trouble a lot. So I haven't studied the film. Was he escaping from trouble because the offensive line and people in the chat who love studying the game, what are your thoughts on the offensive line's play overall yesterday?
I have not watched the all 22 yet. I had some reports I had to get out this morning. I had to make sure the plow guy was coming. So I was, pretty busy. Monday mornings are always busy.
Oh, of course.
So, and I get up early. But, I will, they gave up pressures because every one of those runs or those twists to get out of the way, those are all pressures. So they gave up pressures.
Right.
And I don't think anybody's a virgin along the line. I think they all at least gave up one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Sam Jones is saying Rome was open in the back of the end zone, and Caleb throws the ball 6 rows into the stands damn near. I don't recall him missing Rome badly in the end zone. Do you?
I don't either. I have to see the play. And people, sometimes you see stuff, and we've said this before. before you make a criticism, know what the frickin' play call was.
Yeah.
And know where that guy is in the progression.
Exactly.
Greg Olson made a really good point. In fact, it was a throw, I think, to Rome.
Mm-hmm.
He said that guy was number 4 in the progression.
Mm-hmm.
He said, so Caleb went through the entire progression and found the right guy. But it was also a play where he got no pressure whatsoever. He just stood back there and could look over the field.
Yeah. Speaking of Rome, as we just were a little while ago, Rome was targeted early and often, got a total of 10 targets. You think his father going to X and posting stuff about getting,
because he didn't get very many targets the week before.
Yeah, he had 2.
And
yeah.
Dad said that. He goes, it's he goes, I try to get it even, but I can't always do it.
Mm-hmm.
And it depends on what the matchups are.
Yeah. There's a lot of mouths to feed.
Loveland's getting more targets now.
Yes.
And that one catch that he made when Caleb was actually rolling, and rolling left and throwing is not an easy thing to do.
No way.
When you're right-handed quarterback. So he's rolling left and has to throw to his right.
Mm-hmm.
And the ball wasn't even close to a good ball placement. And the catch that Loveland made was really amazing.
Yeah. I was trying to find video of Rome's press conference when he talked to the media in the locker room, because his response to the question, you were targeted with the very first pass of the game. His response was, yeah, thanks, Dad. And he laughed, and all the reporters laughed, and then he went on to say, but seriously, so he's such a mature young man. It's another reason why I love Rome Odunze, fell in love with him during the draft process. While I still think we probably should have gone for an offensive or defensive lineman. I mean, Jared Verse was available. He would have looked good in Bears uniform. I can't complain with the fact that Rome Odunze is a Chicago Bear. He is a great person, J2K. Excellent stuff. Excellent. All right. A lot of people are criticizing Theo's pass blocking. I think that's a fair and legitimate complaint about him.
When he's going to be playing against real long arm guys,
mm-hmm.
and all those Giants guys got real long arms. Those defensive ends.
Yep.
He's at a disadvantage.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Indeed.
Well, I'll tell you what, Baldy had a breakdown of him a bunch of snaps last week.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, yeah, he's got shorter arms, and, he hasn't played that much until just recently. He goes, but he never stops.
Mm-hmm.
He never stops. And he goes, he gets his hands on you, and once he gets his hands on you, he doesn't let go.
Yeah.
And so there's good to know. He'll probably end up being a guard.
Absolutely. He'll be a rotational guard because it
depends. How much longer is Joe going to play or whatever,
mm-hmm.
and he could end up being a guard. I still think Ozzy's the left tackle of the future. They just wanted to be ultra comfortable. So you're not, could I be wrong? Of course I could be wrong. But
sure.
He gets snaps every game now.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're just trying to, get his feet wet and keeping the feet wet.
Yep. These are the snaps that Ozzy had. He had 7 snaps, 10% of the offensive snaps for Ozzy there.
Yeah, he's been getting like 7 to 10 each of when they go to that jumbo package. He's been getting snaps in that, and it's always run block, and there might be a pass block in there, depending on the play call with that package. But it's just the game time. And on top of that, he's getting special team snaps too. So he's in on field goal and extra point and stuff.
I was personally surprised that DeAndre got 62% of the running back snaps over Manangai's 38%. Only surprised because DeAndre, is dealing with an injury, and Manangai was the hot hand coming off to that incredible game last week. Were you surprised at all that DeAndre got more carries?
I think it's because they're passing the ball better, and you're going to trust Swift a lot more in the passing game than you are Manangai.
Makes sense. Okay. Makes sense. By the way, both
guy had a drop too, but I don't really want to call that one a drop.
Right. Bruce Ollie Walter Jordan.
It was an off-target throw.
It was an off-target throw. I remember that. Bruce Ollie Walter Jordan is asking, where is Kmet? Kmet played a lot. Are you asking that he wasn't on that list?
He's just not getting. Kmet played 45% of the snaps.
45
snaps, 66%.
Right. And, if you're asking that question because he's not getting a lot of looks in the offense, again, it's just the byproduct of having so many weapons. This is unbelievable. This team is loaded. And it's a great thing.
How many catches did DJ have? Is this going to be, let's piss and moan about, well, maybe they should have traded DJ last week. Because that's what the people do around here.
Everybody has to complain about something. We will win a Super Bowl, and people like me will still be complaining, Greg.
Of course we will be.
I agree with you, Bruce Ollie Walter Jordan. Kmet did play well. I mean, I always thought he was about an average or maybe slightly above average blocker, but I think he has really stepped up his blocking this year, perhaps an acceptance of the fact that he's going to be needed to block more with Coastal Loveland. Yes, exactly.
Where he wasn't really the why last year.
Correct.
I mean, he is the why now, and that's an important role on this team. People say, oh, they're going to get rid of him. They'll get rid of him in the offseason. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. I don't see it. You got to replace him.
Yep.
And to find a why is not easy.
Mm-hmm.
You know how many whys you find, real whys that you find in each draft? One or two, if that, because there's the way that the tight end position doesn't exist in college anymore. These guys are all flexed out. And so when you find a guy, there's a guy from the Bills drafted, name was Hawes from Georgia Tech, and he played at Harvard before that. So he got his degree at Harvard. He had another year of eligibility, transfers to Georgia Tech. He probably caught 6 passes or something for Georgia Tech last year, but he could block his ass off. But those guys are hard to find.
Yeah. And hopefully they don't have to find another one. I saw a couple of comments about Kmet will probably be cut next year. I hope not, because Kmet
not going to get cut.
Yeah, because of cap reasons, they think
No, that's not going to happen.
I got you.
You got a valuable commodity. If you don't want him, you trade him. You're not going to cut him.
Mm-hmm. Indeed.
You cut a guy for cap purposes because you can't trade him.
Right. Yeah, and he's been, he's had some small injury. I hate to say small, but he had a concussion a week ago, but he's back on the field right away. He had a knee or a leg problem early in the season. So from a health standpoint, he's still a durable player. And I agree with Bruce Ollie Walter Jordan, who says that Loveland is better at blocking than I thought he would be. I agree.
I agree with that. And again, you know what? You got to block, brother. That's what they know. And he does it.
That's what I love about this coaching staff.
You go look at his Michigan tape, and I'm going to say he was better than a shadow blocker, but you wouldn't list it as part of his strong point. You don't report, you do strong points, weak points.
Right.
You would have put it as a weak point. And that's not the case anymore. He gets after people, and he's a little bit stronger than people think too.
Yeah, indeed. By the way,
there's one thing. You had that little clip with him talking, and there was that female reporter to the left. I didn't recognize her face. Who was that? Do you know who that was?
Yeah, she's with WGN.
Okay. I have never seen her. That's why.
Yeah, very good reporter. She does a good job. Kathleen Starkey, I think is her name, and I apologize if I got that wrong. So several people have joined us in the last 20 minutes, and they want your thoughts on Daboll's firing. So repeat your thoughts on what you think about Brian Daboll being fired by the Giants here.
I think they had to do something. It's really, knowing the Maras like I do, it's surprising a little bit, but I think being that this is like the third time they've given up a late fourth quarter lead, and I thought, really tell you the truth, I thought he might get the X after the Denver game. They were up like 3 touchdowns or something in that game, or maybe even more than 3 touchdowns, and they lost it. And they haven't won any games on the road. They had a 10-point lead with under 4 minutes to go yesterday. They lost the game. I think you had to do it, but who lost? I mean, yeah, he lost the game because he got fired because he's the head coach, but the defensive coordinator isn't doing him any favors.
He sure isn't. You can't fire the whole staff, though. So
I know.
Yeah, as you well know. All right, we got to get through some of these questions here because they're piling up on us. By the way, her name is Caitlin Sharkey. Sharkey.
I just didn't. I saw her there in the one clip, and I go, I don't know who that is.
Yeah, I'll send you some video because she does really good interviews, and they post them on YouTube. WGN does, so I'll send you some of that stuff. I
don't need it. I just, like I say, like if it was Courtney Cronin, we know who Courtney is.
Absolutely.
And when Courtney asks a question, you know who it is.
You know immediately.
Yeah. But that's just somebody in that Bears media group that I was not familiar with.
Indeed. She is a relatively new face. I think she's been at GN now for a couple of years and covers all sports. But yeah, it was nice to see her covering Bears stuff. All right, so let us get to some questions. J2K asks, did you guys notice defensive tackle Chris Williams playing the defensive end?
Yeah, we talked about that before. I think they did that because the new guy, 3 days of practice, and they just had to give some of the other guys blows. You can't play it every down. And so I don't think you might see it on some base downs because he can play the run, but he's not going to give you a pass rush from there.
Yeah. Right.
But and speaking of that, and people say you got to get an edge. Okay. They might have the edge, and he was a second round pick this year. And I think you're going to see him, he gets hurt, so he's done. They moved him out to end. They were surprised, even though he played 2 years on the edge at A&M, and then he bulked up to play inside and played good. You can get this guy back down to 270, 275.
Oh, yeah.
And he can run. And you might have your edge right there. And you just, and it took this coaching staff. In fact, with Swifty, going back to even after the draft, he goes, they got to play him an edge. And Swifty was right. That is his natural position. Yeah. And he really is quick and fast. He's got length, but he got big because they asked him to.
It's a shame that he got hurt. So we'll be keeping an eye on Shamar Turner's progress, and hopefully we will see him all 100% healthy for training camp next season. Best Meat Marinade asks, Greg, you're not coughing anymore. That's great.
Well, I coughed when you were playing one of the clips, but so I do it when you go on mute.
He's mastered this whole radio thing. Greg from Vizzo Joe, is it time to unleash Luther Burden?
We talked about that too. When the coaching staff feels they can put him out there for a high number, bring up the play thing again. How many snaps did he play?
You got it. Here it comes. Luther Burden had, where are you? Here it is.
33 snaps. That's probably the most snaps he's had.
Yeah, 50% of the snaps.
Okay, so he's getting more time. And I was told this before. They just weren't comfortable with him knowing everything he was supposed to know. And we're not saying he's dumb. It's a difficult offense. And the one play that jumps out, and it was turned out it wasn't a turnover, but an incomplete pass, and it could have been a first down, was a few weeks ago. And Caleb was thinking he's going to go one way, and Burden goes the other way. Burden cuts inside when the defensive back was playing inside leverage. He was supposed, and Caleb throws the out, and he was supposed to run the out. So that is one of the things I'm talking about, and that he's got to be able to read on the run what the defense is doing.
True Pilgrim has a question. He says, Aldo, can you ask Greg if Chauncey, what's the J for it? Chauncey. Anyway.
CJ Gardner-Johnson.
Oh, okay. So can he play free safety? He has played safety.
He's played safety.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's been played free or strong, but he's played safety. He's been predominantly a safety who has played nickel.
Right.
And actually, he's pretty good at the nickel.
Yeah,
I looked at his numbers coming out of what, after they signed him. I just wanted, he's 27 years old now, but he was like a 4.47 or 4.48 coming out, had good jumps and stuff. So he's an athletic guy.
Yeah. He's becoming a favorite among the team, according to players and the coaching staff. And I could see him becoming a favorite among Chicago Bears fans, much the same way Dennis Rodman, the much hated Dennis Rodman, came to the Bulls, and all of a sudden fans like me were like, no, okay. That guy can play.
Hey, make a couple plays and everybody loves you.
Absolutely. Laz wants to know, do you agree that Caleb's fastballs led to the drops in the cold?
That's a good question. He does throw a fastball, and sometimes you got to learn to throw with some touch. But when he's trying to make a tight window throw, you got to fire it.
Exactly.
And when he's on the run, a couple of those drops were when he was on the run, and for whatever reason, he zips that. Now, there was one throw he had, I think it was to Loveland on a corner route to the left side. He threw that with touch.
Yeah.
It wasn't that might have been at half speed or 60% speed.
Mm-hmm.
So he's got part of that is experience too.
Sure.
He can throw the fastball. He does throw the fastball, but there's times when you don't need to throw the fastball. And part of that's experience.
All right. Team Skeletor says, how serious are DJ's injuries? Now along with bad hip and groin, he has a bad shoulder injury. Do you think he will play Sunday?
I don't know. I mean, he finds a way to play.
Yeah, that's one thing about that guy. He can recover from injuries pretty quickly. I bet he will play at Team Skeletor. Do you recall this from Eric is saying that we shouldn't forget that if it wasn't for Pete Carroll vetoing the trade, the Bears would have given up 3 first-round picks and a huge contract for Russell Wilson. Do you recall that? I know there were some thought.
That was a Ryan Pace thing, I think, wasn't it? I don't think that was a Poles.
I hope Poles never entertained it, but yeah, I remember there was speculation about it, but I never heard.
Yeah, I don't know if there was speculation that they put it this way, they talked. Mm-hmm. I don't think if it was Poles, there's no way he was giving up 3 firsts.
Yeah, E Flat says it was Pace that happened, but I'll tell you this. There were a lot of Bears fans who were asking for Russell Wilson. None of them have said a word.
They're not gonna show their face now.
Yeah,
I didn't do that.
Why would you want Russell Wilson way past his prime? Come on.
The biggest part of his game was he could make plays with his feet.
Yes.
And he really can't do that anymore.
He can't. What about Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson, 2 veteran greats, where both looked like they were afraid to get hit? Did you see any of that Steelers game?
Rodgers don't want to get it. I did not watch the game last night.
Oh, my goodness. There was one play, Greg, where the defensive end was coming, and he throws the ball, and then he does a 360 because he was afraid to get that head-on collision, and he looked awful.
41 years old. Do you want to get into the show?
Yeah, I don't. That's for sure. But he makes a lot of money.
You take a big hit. It might be the last hit when you're that age.
Indeed. Let's see.
But I'll tell you what I saw though. That somebody had it yesterday. That there's rumor to the fact that the Steelers and Rodgers are in talks to do an extension. I would not do that. I would think that would be a a dumb move on their part.
Yeah.
Maybe do one more year while you bring in a guy who can, take over. But I wouldn't do more than a year.
Yeah, I, if I'm the Steelers organization, I know they don't like change with the coaching staff, but I just think it's time for a new voice in the locker room there. Find yourself a new coach and start over, rebuild that franchise because the Steelers are good for football.
Okay, I got to see this because I can't see it happening. We can go back to the frickin' 70s. There's only been 3 coaches.
Yes, Chuck Noll.
Right?
Bill Cowher.
And this guy.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's it. Exactly. Yeah. And I think that's great that there is that steady influence, in the coaching staff. I think that's wonderful. But what's his name? The present coach has been there for what, 15 seasons now as the head coach. So
I might be 18. I don't know. He's been there a long time.
Wow. All right. Let's see. Greg, could the Bears find extra funding by convincing another Chicago area franchise to move to Arlington Heights with them? Are you thinking like the White Sox or something? New England Bears?
No, then you got to make a multi-purpose stadium, which every multi-purpose stadium that was built became obsolete like within a year. And they're all rubble now because you can't. The sight lines are so much different between baseball and football.
Yeah,
and the cost would be crazy. The only way you could do it is the soccer team, and the soccer team's going to build their own little stadium because you only want 20,000 people.
Exactly, which is perfect for soccer in Chicago, I think. But
I don't know what's wrong, why they don't like that. What is it? Toyota? What's it called? Toyota Stadium, or used to be called that.
Yeah.
They had the Eric Clapton's guitar festival there 2 years in a row, which I went to.
Oh, cool.
I can't think of the name of it, but it's down on the south side. But that is a real good soccer stadium.
Yeah. Oracle of Hallis says 300 acres complex in Arlington Heights. Couldn't you fit in multiple stadiums? I guess you could.
Yeah, you could. You could do like Kansas City.
Right.
Who's going to pay for it?
Not the state of Illinois, according to Mr. Pritzker.
Well,
go ahead. Say it.
No. I'll say The Bears are on record as saying we will pay for the stadium. Okay, we want the state, county, whatever, to help with the infrastructure, and I don't think that's a bad demand or a bad ask because that's just improving the roads and some of the other stuff, and getting some exits added, whatever, and that helps everybody.
Yeah, right. Well, but the state is coming back and saying if you leave Soldier Field in 2 or 3 years, the Illinois taxpayer is going to be left with the $500 million that is owed to the state of Illinois for the money that they gave for Soldier Field.
It's a negotiation point.
Yeah, and let me add this. The
lease is up in 32. And the way they're going right now, it's 26. The earliest they're going to get in there is 29.
Right.
Because that's going to take a while to build that thing.
3 years, easy, absolutely. But the state has been hinting to the Chicago Bears, help us recoup that $500 million, whatever it is. And so the Bears finally said yes. We'll send you a check for $25 million. And one of the Republican state lawmakers said that is insulting. So we're going to pay the other $475 million? You want to make a deal, you better send hundreds of millions.
Okay, now let's throw out the politics. Do you think that thing's going to not be used? Of course it's going to be used.
Oh, absolutely. NCAA concerts.
Then part of that money that they were used to build it is still going to still going to use. If it was sitting totally vacant, nobody was using it,
Mm-hmm.
then that would be a real strong point.
Yeah.
But if you've got some college games in there, now Northwestern's building their new stadium, so they're not going to want to do that. Their new stadium will be ready next year. But I tell you, it's not very big.
Yeah, I drove by it the other day. I was surprised how small it was. Yeah.
It's only 30-something thousand, I think.
Yeah.
So they may have to play a game in a little bigger venue. Who knows?
Mm-hmm.
But I've been to the old Ryan Field. I must have been to 20 games there over the years, and it's so easy to get in out. I've never seen a full house. Never. No, I take that back. Notre Dame played there on a Saturday night. Maybe
that was a full house. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a full house because they're all Notre Dame people.
Yeah, exactly. I went to a Northwestern Michigan game, and that was a full house, and it was because 90% of the crowd was from Michigan.
Right.
It's like, what's going on here? All right, so enough with the stadium stuff. Let's see if I got some more questions for you.
Put me on mute. I'm going to cough.
Okay, go ahead and cough while I read out from Samo.
I'm good.
What do you make with all the issues in special teams? I mean, we don't need to read anymore. What do you make of the issues with special teams?
There was one bad return yesterday. Otherwise, I thought they were better than they had been the previous years. But kickoff return.
Previous games, not years.
Previous games.
Yeah.
Kickoff return has been a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Covering kickoff return.
Mm-hmm. It has been a terrible problem. And by the way, I think some of the criticism leveled at Cairo Santos is unfair. Do you agree with that? I mean, yes, he doesn't have Jake Moody's leg, but he's more accurate than Jake Moody.
Yeah. Cairo doesn't miss many.
That's the thing. I mean, Jake Moody hits a game-winning kick, and then all of a sudden you want to drop the kicker that you're married to.
What have you done for me lately?
Exactly. Yep. All right. But special teams, the one bad return that they allowed yesterday, and it may have been more than one, but the one that really, it was late in the middle of the fourth quarter. Yeah. After they scored that first touchdown, I was like, what are we doing? We're giving them the ball in the midfield. Come on, guys.
I know. That's when you need to stop them at the 23.
Yep. Do you think that the injuries to the team might be adversely affecting the special teams unit? Hard to say, right?
It could be a little bit. You'd have to break down the special teams tape. Mm-hmm. And to do that, you literally got to look at like 11 guys. So you got to watch every play 11 times.
Mm-hmm.
And, to see where the fault is.
Right.
And, who's not getting off a block, who's not getting the penetration that you want.
Yeah.
But, everybody else does a pretty good job covering kicks. Not the Bears.
Not the Bears, unfortunately. Some people are saying that Santos, I just saw this out of the corner of my eye. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Oh, it was K. Santos' range is 10 yards less than almost all other kickers in the NFL. You agree with that?
I think you can go back to last year and the year before, and his kicks over 50, the percentage is pretty damn good.
Yeah.
Okay, is he going to kick it from 60? No.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He's 54, 55. He missed one, I think from 56 or 57. That might have been this year. He's very, very reliable. Yeah, some of the guys have got really strong legs.
Mm-hmm.
We're just seeing such it's like, the kicker motion's like a golf swing. And the golf ball travels a lot further than it used to. I was watching a thing on the Golf Channel the other day. It was one of those old Shell Wonderful World of Golf.
Yeah, I remember those.
Okay, so it was on, and it was Tom Watson and Jack Nicklaus. Well, they had two in a row. First it was Nicklaus and Palmer, and then it was Watson and Nicklaus. And somebody, I think Nicklaus was out like 202 yards on a par 5, and he's using a 3-iron. They're using a 7-iron now.
That's so true.
Okay? And it's like part of it's the equipment, part of it's the ball. Well, in football, these guys, there's all these different schools now that didn't even exist 10, 12 years ago. And these guys are developing their leg strength. They're a lot stronger. They're getting the ball up. The important thing, it's not the leg strength. I mean, obviously you want the leg strength, but it's accuracy. And maybe Jake Moody is the guy. But Jake Moody hasn't proven since he's been in the league, and he hasn't been in the league that long, that he is actually capable of being ultra reliable.
Right. Here's his field goal kicking percentage over the years. He has in 2024 70%, 2025 75. Jake Moody. 84% in 2023, but 70% last year. That says you're going to have some problems. And so I like Jake Moody. Thank goodness Jake Moody made the game-winning kick.
I'll give you a real stat now. When I started in the league, if the guy was kicking 55 to 60%, he was a good kicker.
Absolutely. I remember those days. I mean, Kevin Butler for the Bears, the Super Bowl kick. I look back at his stats. What? He had an accuracy rate of like under 70%. I'm like, really?
No,
and we all love Butthead.
You're supposed to make every kick now, bro.
Yeah, exactly. By the way, you reminded me of something when you were talking about golf. When I was a reporter over at Channel 9, I did a feature on this traveling medical center that would go to all of the golf tournaments so that they can provide therapy for the golfers. And so I was asked to do a feature. And as a producer, I walked into this tent and there's therapists there working on people. And I'm thinking to myself, well, when did the golfers get here? Because they were all so badly out of shape. And the lady who was the PR person said, these are all professional golfers. And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. I don't know the golf game that well at that point. But it was guys with famous names at the time, and they were so badly out of shape. When Tiger came in to the golf world, all of a sudden, everybody said, we got to start working out.
He changed the game from a fitness level.
Yes, he did.
You know, you went from guys who you look at Nicholas when he was playing, he was a little pudgy guy.
Yeah.
Okay. And all of a sudden, all these guys are weightlifters. They're strong. They're lean. They can hit the ball a mile. And it was all because of one person.
Indeed.
You want to beat this guy, you got to be like this guy.
Indeed. Tiger Woods will always be one of the greats. All right. Let's wrap things up with a few more questions. We got that one. Jigsaw wanted to know, how does the pace of Caleb's throws compare with some of the harder throwing quarterbacks? Yesterday when I was watching, I thought to myself, he throws it as fast as Brett Favre, who John Madden would go crazy about the velocity of Brett Favre's throws and so forth. I think velocity-wise, he throws it up there with Brett Favre. What do you think?
Probably has one of the top 3 arms in the league.
Yeah.
He's got an incredibly strong arm.
So Mahomes, Josh Allen.
He might have a strong, the guy in San Diego, Mahomes, Allen. I think he throws a harder fastball than Mahomes.
Yeah.
Mahomes can throw with touch. Allen can throw hard. And Allen's a big dude. I mean, you know, he's 6'5", 250 pounds. And then the guy in San Diego, those guys probably got the strongest arms in the game.
Yeah.
At least from my point of view.
Yeah. And, you know, the whole accuracy thing with Caleb, I will be shocked if his accuracy doesn't become one of the league's best within a couple of years. I just think his accuracy is going to get better.
You know, we talked about it once before and used Josh Allen as an example. Josh Allen was under 55% his first 2 years in the league.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now I think he went to 57% his second year in the league. His third year in the league, most of the year he was over 70. He finished at 69.
Look at that. Okay.
But Brian Daboll can't coach.
Yeah. Yeah. Richard Long is asking, does Caleb throw a catchable ball? That's an interesting question.
We talked about that earlier. I think he's got to learn to throw with touch on some throws. There's times you need that fastball.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. But there's others when, and we saw it. We talked about it before. There was that throw to Loveland, which was a touch pass.
Yep.
He threw on a day like yesterday, but he had to get it out of his hand quick, and Burns was there. And actually, Burns got his hand on the ball, but that the DJ didn't catch on the bubble. That was a fastball.
Yeah.
But actually, if Burns hadn't gotten his hand on it, that would have been a completed ball.
Mm-hmm. Boy, we could spend another 3-4 hours talking, but that's going to wrap up our show. Greg and I will be back. Oh, no, just a couple more questions. Tonight, the Green Bay Packers are playing the Philadelphia Eagles. What are your thoughts on this game?
I posted it maybe an hour before, 45 minutes before we started this. If Philadelphia wins, the Bears are in first place, tied for first. That's what I think about it.
All right. So the Bears will be tied for first by the end of the night. A Waitster has the best closing question. Hey, Greg. Where is it? I don't see it. Let me put it up here. What's going on with my thing? It's not that thing, but my mouse pad. Hey, Greg, we need your guarantee for the Vikings. You've been on a roll.
I don't have a guarantee yet. I might later in the week. I don't have it yet.
Oh, Greg.
But they're 4-4, and
what a downer to close the show on.
JJ is I got to keep my record going. So, maybe I'll be a guest on the Twin Towers.
Okay. They'd love to have you.
JJ is tougher because of his feet.
Mm-hmm.
He's tougher to defense. And then, how I haven't really watched Minnesota in weeks. I don't know how healthy their defense is. I pay attention to the Giants because I work there. So I knew that. And the other games, I felt pretty confident about. I had seen Cincinnati a few times. I haven't seen Minnesota play since we lost to them in the first game that we should have won. So, but that was here. This one's there. Now I'm saying that. There's some good news. There's going to be no elements. You might see the ball being thrown around pretty good in that game.
That's a great point. It could be a shootout, right? Like the Cincinnati.
I don't know if their quarterback,
JJ
McCarthy, has that ability to put himself into shootout mode yet.
Yeah, he did for one quarter against the game. Yeah, one touchdown, 2 interceptions yesterday. Taurine points out. Indeed. Yeah, I mean, I hope it's a shootout, but we're doing a lot of shooting. So that's what I'll be hoping for. And Greg, another great show. People are.
But I got a good feeling. You can't ever count this team out.
That's for sure.
Let's see what the injury situation is during the week. Who practices on Wednesday and Thursday doesn't mean a whole lot to me.
Not anymore.
No, you got to, especially the later you get into the season.
Right.
Because you start resting some guys.
Ruben Hippolyte was the only person from the Bears side who left the game with an injury. I think it was a concussion that he suffered. So hopefully everyone
he had a concussion, unless it's mild, like we talked about earlier.
He will probably won't
play next week aren't good.
Yeah, which will hurt special teams because that's primarily what he
brought back. Whatever his name is, he was brought up from injured reserve during the week.
Yeah, I'm drawing a blank on his name, but I know who you're talking about. By the way,
Dago or something like that, or
what do you think about Brian Flores? I think that there's a lot of praise thrown at this game, but when I look at the Vikings defensive stats,
you know what it is? It's this. He's got a complex scheme that makes it very difficult to prepare for.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't mean you can't beat him.
Absolutely. Hippo went out with a knee, says Thitality. Thank you, Thitality. interesting name. I think I know who you are. Anyway, that's going to do it for this episode. I want to thank Lutz, Steven, Bear in the UK, and Bear Truth 9 for their donations. I'm going to ask Greg to join the Twins on Friday.
If I can, I will do it.
That is awesome news. They're going to be so excited. And
stay on. I gotta tell you a couple things when.
I will do so. I always stay on. You're the one that leaves immediately after I hit end.
I know.
Thank you all for watching live. Please let others know. You just share the show with others, and that will be greatly appreciated as well. Take care.
See you later.
We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.